Fáilte Abhaile, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about Irish werewolves and the many stories surrounding these mythical creatures. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. If we can get up to 30 likes, it would be amazing. And as always, if you are new, subscribe so you never miss one of our videos. So grab a blanket and get yourself cozy as we explore some more Irish folklore. While they're no longer here, Ireland was once a stronghold of wolves. In fact, it was sometimes called Wolfland. However, though they were wiped out in 1786, not all tales involving Irish wolves are terrifying. In fact, St. Albus was, according to legend, suckled by a she-wolf after being abandoned. Though, as is to be expected with any country with an abundant predator, stories were told of them, in this case, werewolf stories. Féileach or Conraíocht. Both these are Irish words for werewolf. As you will see, the Irish werewolf is a complex creature, just as often helpful, or at least benign, as dangerous. Most of the websites and posts I read said Irish werewolves were considered guardian spirits who protected children, wounded men, and the lost, although they mostly don't give sources. Incidentally, if your name is Whelan or Phelan, it comes from the word féil, which means wolf. So we will start with the tale of the werewolves of the Ossory. The story begins with a priest travelling from Ulster to Meath. He and his companion were taking a rest by a fire in a clearing when a wolf came up and started talking to them. He said, "There are two of us, a man and a woman, natives of Ossory, who through the curse of Natalis, saint and abbot, are compelled every 7 years to put off the human form and depart from the dwellings of men. Quitting entirely the human form, we assume that of wolves. At the end of the 7 years, if they chance to survive, 2 others would be substituted in their place. They return to their country and their former shape." No doubt the wolf's extremely formal speech reassured them. He then explains that his female companion is dying and asks the priest for the last rites. The priest follows the wolf to their lair, where he sees the female wolf, who is clearly about to die. He has doubts, however, about administering the sacrament to an animal, so the male wolf reaches out and pulls off her wolfskin to reveal an old woman underneath. He then gives her the sacrament, and she dies. The wolf then stays with the priest and his companion all night talking. The best part of the story is that the priest supposedly passed it on to the bishop, who sent it all the way up to Pope Urban III. A variant to this story comes from the Norse Conungskuldja, which has the pagan Irish mocking St. Patrick's preaching by howling like wolves, and then the enraged saint curses them. Another legend says he changed King Verrecticus into a wolf, so this is something of a habit for St. Patrick. The Irish version of History Britum of Nennis gives the same story with some extra details. The descendants of the wolf are in Ossory. They have a wonderful property. They transform themselves into wolves and go forth in the form of wolves, and if they happen to be killed with flesh in their mouths, it is in the same condition that the bodies out of which they came will be found. And they command their families not to remove their bodies, because if they are moved, they could never come into them again. This last detail is interesting. Often we hear of shamans and other magicians sending forth their spirits, during which they lie as if dead or asleep. It is said that in Ireland, lycanthropy was hereditary, and that those of certain lineages could shift into Féilad, that is, wolf shapes. The most famous of these lycanthropes were the Lagnoch Féilid, otherwise known as the Wolfmen of Tipperary. These were fearsome warriors who, howling like wolves, fought for the ancient kings of Ireland, and were every bit as fierce and ferocious as the beasts they assumed the shape of. They lived in remote areas, and unlike the werewolves of Ossory, they could turn into wolves whenever they wanted. Another story that has an old Irish proverb attached to it is a story of a young farmer called Connor. He had 2 cows from his herd go missing, so he decided to go out searching for them. He walked all day, and as night began to fall, he sought some shelter. He knocked to a house that was hidden away in a deep, deep valley. The door was answered by a tall old woman, and she said that they had been expecting him, and ushered him inside. Connor sensed something was off, but the night was dark and he would never be able to find his way home without getting lost. As he sat at the table, 3 young burly men came in and sat at the table with him. Their eyes were glinting and focused, and they were all trained in on Connor. As he tried to make an excuse to leave, all the men cackled with laughter as they began to transform into wolves. This only managed to anger Connor. All his fear had left him and was replaced by anger. He grabbed the branch he had been carrying with him and lashed out at the wolves. The eldest wolf shouted at Connor to stop. He asked Connor if he remembered finding a young wolf with a thorn through his side. Connor said that he did. He had nursed the baby wolf back to health. As it turned out, it was the elder wolf that Connor had helped. So even though the wolves were evil, the eldest wolf said that kindness should be paid with kindness. So he told Connor to stay the night without fear, and he can leave in the morning. And with all that, they sat down at the table and feasted and drank merrily, and soon Connor had fallen asleep. As he groggily awoke the next morning, he found himself on a bale of hay in his own field. Laughing the previous night's events off as nothing but a dream, he went to check on his cattle, and to his dismay his 2 prize cows were still missing, but he did notice 3 amazing looking cows at the other end of his field. Assuming the cows had wandered in from a neighbour's property, he went towards them to drive them off his field. As he approached them, he saw the eldest wolf glaring at him from his gate. As the cows tried to pass the wolf bit at them and drove them back into Connor's field. It was then that Connor knew his friend had kept his word. So he let the cows go back into his field, and then over the years they grew to be the finest in the country. Connor prospered and became rich. For a kind deed is never lost, but brings good luck to the doer for evermore. As the old Irish proverb says, blessings are won by a good deed done. So as you can see, the Irish werewolf is much different to other werewolf legends from around the world. In Irish folklore, it seems the werewolf is much more of a protector and a guardian, and much less of a man-eater. So, what do you guys think? Does Ireland still have men transforming into wolves? Or is it just a byproduct of when our little island was home to thousands of these predators? Let us know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you are new and want to see more of our videos, hit the like button and subscribe. And as always guys, good night and good luck.